All this talk today about demons. What's that all about? What does that have to do with us? In Bible times, there was lots of talk about demons. And today, we don't talk about them much at all. So what do we do with a gospel like this? What's all the business with demons? A demon is a problem that you are not able to manage on your own. It's something that you've tried to fix and can't. It's a presence in your life or your personality that you've asked to leave, and you can't get rid of it. There are so many examples of things like this that are not something we can figure out on our own. Things like managing deep grief. Things like addiction or mental illness. For a lot of us, it's something like low self-esteem or ADHD. We've wanted to overcome it. We've tried to fix it. We've avoided it to the best of our ability, but there's no way around it. It keeps coming back. It's relentless. Now, we all know that there are some people with ferocious demons that are really, really rough. And they could cause us to think, well, I don't have any demons compared to that. But I think Jesus gives us a very important hint in the gospel about how many people this affects. Did you hear in the Gospel of Mark, it said that Jesus was there to heal anyone who was ill or possessed by a demon. The whole town was at the door. The whole town. Who is affected by a demon of some sort in their life? The whole town. Where do you live? Queensbury? Do you know how many people there are affected by demons? The whole town. And Glens Falls, and South Glens Falls, and Hudson Falls, and all of us. It's a part of human life that there are some things that are within the scope of things we can work on, things we can manage, things we can handle, things we can improve. But then there are those other things, those demons, that only God can manage. There's an old proverb about a woman who had one son, and he died. And her grief was overwhelming, understandably. She was a very devout woman, and so she naturally went to talk to the priest. And what she said to him was, I can't bear this. I need my son back. Is there anything, any prayers that you have that could bring my son back to me? And the priest said, there is one thing we can do. To do it, I need you to get a mustard seed from the pantry of a house that has known no sorrow. If you can get me a mustard seed from the pantry of someone's house that has never had a misfortune or a sorrow, we will use it to drive the sorrow out of your life. So she felt hope for the first time. And she thought, I wonder where I could find a house where there's no sorrow. And she thought, I know, the rich neighborhood. I'll go to where the rich people live. They don't have problems, right? So she went to the biggest mansion she could find, and she knocked on the door, and she said, excuse me, I'm just on a mission. Is this a home that has ever known sorrow? And the people there said, oh, have we known sorrow? Come in. Let us tell you about it. And they started sharing all of the struggles and the sorrows of their life. And she was a little bit surprised and humbled, because from the outside, things looked great. So when she heard some of their problems, there were a few moments where she wondered if their cross was heavier than hers. And so she sat and she listened and she comforted them. And then she said, I promise I'll pray for you, but it's time for me to go now. I have to get a mustard seed from the home of someone who's never known sorrow. So she went next door and she asked, is this a home that has never known sorrow? And they said, oh, lady, please, come on in. Let us tell you. And again, a whole different story. But she was overwhelmed by it. She thought, these people have really struggled. over time, she went from home to home and started to forget to ask about the mustard seed. She forgot the reason that she was on this journey. And it was when she one day realized, I haven't been asking for that mustard seed lately. She realized that the search for the mustard seed had indeed driven the sorrow from her life. What helps us with our demons is to realize that the whole town has their own. The whole town, everyone. And so we are looking for ways not to be the one without the demon. That doesn't happen this side of heaven. But to realize that if we turn to our faith and we turn to each other, these things are easier to bear. That's why small groups help so much. Small groups are not support groups. We don't go there to talk about our problems. But there's no way to talk about life without our issues coming up. They color everything. And so what we learn from our small groups is that everybody is fighting a battle that other people know nothing about. And the more put together that a person looks on the outside, that might mean that the problem is all the bigger for them. And they're just trying to put on the bravest face that they can. A demon is the kind of thing that causes us to say, God, I have tried to deal with this, and I can't do it. I need bigger guns for this battle. It's above my pay grade. I need your help. The longer I'm a priest, the more I like the first part of the Mass, where we do what we call the penitential rite, where we say, Lord, it's been another heck of a week. Here we are again. You know how I promised not to do that last week? I did it again. I don't know how to not do it. I've asked it to leave. I've tried. I feel like a failure, but I don't know what else to do. I need bigger guns for this battle. It's above my pay grade. And so we simply ask, would you just forgive us and put us on the right path? And God always does. The thing that we're reading about this week in the introduction of Beautiful Eucharist is the concept that the Eucharist is the best form of divine medicine. The Eucharist is a million and trillion different things, but one of the things it is divine medicine. So just as the whole town was at the door of the house where Jesus was healing, we can open the door of our house and let Jesus in through the Eucharist. That's the way he goes directly to the site of our problems. He comes into our house and he puts it in order. When you come up to me today for the Eucharist, I'm going to say the body of Christ. But I might as well say, take one of these and call God in the morning. That would be just as appropriate, because that's what we're doing. We're saying, Lord, I need a dose of this. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do. I would do it if I knew what to do, but I don't know what to do. And I have a good sense that whatever it's going to take is above my pay grade. I need you to come into my life. And that's what the Eucharist does. In a literal and beautiful, spiritual, poetic kind of way. One of the things we'll find if we read the Bible, some people will read the Bible from beginning to end as a challenge to themselves. One of the things they find when they do that is that there are no stories where Jesus wouldn't heal someone unless they had a prerequisite. There are no stories where he says, no, I'm not going to heal you. You're not ready. You're not good enough. All they needed was a desire to be healed. And that is what he would do. And that is so true with the Eucharist too. We are asked to bring a desire for God to be in our lives to the Eucharist. That's all we're asked to do, is to come here and to put ourselves humbly before God and to be hungry for the Eucharist. And the hungrier we are, the more desire we have, is in direct proportion to the way the Eucharist can work in our life. Our openness to the power of that divine medicine is what allows it to go to its fullest work in our lives. All of us have a list of problems we're working on. They're things that we know are ours to solve. And there's a whole nother list of things that we are powerless. We've tried. We've asked these things to leave, and they won't. So we come here, and we open the door of our house, and we let the Eucharist in. And once the Lord is in the house, the demons have no chance at all.